2019's Pet Sematary, which is directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer. Just like the original Pet Sematary, the Creed family has just moved in to their house in Maine, and they discover the supernatural abilities of the Pet Sematary next to their home. Widmeyer and Kevin Kolsch did a great job. I've never seen their work before. You can tell that the direction played a big part in their subtle performances, to the point where one of my favorite parts of the movie, two characters are staring at each other and there's this subtle conversation without any words. I thought it was a very intense scene, and it got the message across without any dialogue. Like, just to add on to my point about the direction of the movie and how I can tell that they played a part in the way that the performances worked, was John Lithgow, who plays Judd in the film. I've seen other films that have John Lithgow in it, and you can tell that he's being cast in the movie because he's a very dramatic actor, whether it be very serious or comedic, and by him not acting like that in this movie, it really shows that that was on purpose. I thought that Amy Seimetz did a good portrayal of Rachel in the movie. They brought this new detail in the movie that I felt like was a good addition, and it was the fact that from beginning to end, she had severe anxiety, and you can tell that it was a day-by-day thing. It's not something that just came out of nowhere. In the original movie, Rachel suddenly brings up the story about Zelda, but by the time she brings it up, it's like either the middle of the movie or a little past the middle of the movie. In this movie, they bring it up really early so that not only is it more effective, but you understand why she's acting the way she is when certain subjects are brought up, or you understand why she's having these anxiety attacks throughout the film. You can tell that Jason Clarke's character, Lewis, that he's very close with his wife. There isn't this like isolated feeling from them. Lewis isn't off doing his own thing, or he's not off with Judd. He is with his family for most of the duration of the film. And also, he made me think of something. For the most part, almost all the characters I felt like were purposely casted for the roles, not only because they're good actors, but you can kind of tell they look like modern, reminiscent looking versions of original actors from the 1989 film. And just to go hand in hand with the performances in the movie, I thought the cinematography was really well done. I thought the effects were nice, the practical effects as well as the CGI effects, and I think that it gave a real ominous and creepy feel to the movie overall. I can tell in the writing of the film that there are certain details of the movie, whether it be minimal or actual huge plot points, that if you're somebody who's seen the original 1989 Pet Sematary, they pull a lot of fast ones on you. And I can also appreciate with this movie that certain details have changed since the original that causes this movie to come to a different ending than the 1989 film. It's more family centered. Details I mentioned in the previous video that I felt like could have been cut out, I can tell that the writer of this film was thinking the same thing, because those are just not found in this movie. But that also makes the movie go a slower pace, and make what you will of that. So I've been saying a lot of good things about the movie, but it's not a perfect film either. Like, for example, I've been saying good details about the writing, but to me, I feel like that's the weakest part. I can't help myself from comparing it to the original film. 1989's Pet Sematary did a good job when it came to talking about the subject of death, but if there was going to be a runner-up subject to talk about, it would be mistakes and how it makes us human, and how sometimes those mistakes have huge consequences. Judd, Lewis, Rachel, they all have made huge mistakes in the past, or, you know, the present, which causes the conflict of the movie to happen. Whereas in this movie, all those plot points are in the movie, but they're accidents. All these characters are not at fault for all the things that happen to them. Even the main conflict of the movie, the big tragedy, whereas in the original film, it was totally avoidable. It was Lewis's fault. And to add on to other issues I had while watching the film, there weren't too many, but there were a few plot holes in the movie, and along with that, there were a few characters that I felt were underutilized. It almost came off like it was an obligation to keep them in the movie. So I'm going to give 2019's Pet Sematary a B-. So those are my thoughts in 2019's Pet Sematary. If you'd like to leave a comment, maybe a movie I can review in the future, put it down below, leave a like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.